Welcome to Club Soda's Mindful Drinking Festival. We're online, global, and as always, absolutely free. Hi, I'm Drew, and I'm one of the co-founders of Club Soda.
And I'm Laura, the other co-founder of Club Soda. We help you change your drinking in ways that help you live well. So whether you're looking to cut down, stop for a bit, or quit, you can find what you need from podcasts and books and courses on joinclubsoda.com. This festival, we've brought you an amazing lineup from over 100 people from across the world.
And our programme this time really is global.
Every day starts down under with me, Sarah. As well as organising the festival in Australia, I spend my time looking for alcohol-free alternatives and tips for people who choose not to drink, but who still want to live a social, fun and adventurous life.
And I'll be wrapping up each day here in the States. I'm Amanda, your US festival host and coordinator, and I'm also a mindset coach who helps women change their relationship with alcohol so that they can start living their most authentic life.
Each day with a rolling programme of inspirational panels, conversations, social events, and opportunities to discover new low and low alcohol drinks.
So whether you want inspiration to change your drinking,
Or to connect with other people,
or you want to discover and enjoy a new low and no alcohol drink,
The Mindful Drinking Festival is for you.
cheers!
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 cheers.
Hi, everybody. My name's Lauren. I'm the founder of We Love Lucid alcohol-free adventure holidays. Now, today we've got a very special guest with us, UK singer-songwriter Lucy Spraggan. For those of you who don't know, Lucy had her big break back in 2012 in X Factor. She's recently been working on her 6th album, which is about to be released in October. We've got lots to talk about today. We're also going to talk about health and fitness. Lucy's got a new app coming out, so really excited about that. And what it's like to be a sober person in the LGBTQ plus community. Hi, Lucy. How are you?
I'm very well, thank you. How are you?
I'm good. Well, I think it's kind of similar, actually. I'm in Spain, as you know, but I hear in the UK you're getting pretty scorching weather. Is that right?
It's beautiful today. Beautiful.
Yeah. What have you been up to today?
I went to a CrossFit class, which is a new thing for me. I've been working out lonely for the last few months, obviously. So I joined a CrossFit gym.
Yeah, I heard that. I suppose myself and other people were probably quite surprised that you hadn't been to CrossFit before, because obviously you're so fit. But how did it go?
Yeah, it was good. It's nice to just sort of meet people who are doing the same thing. I've always been quite scared of fitness people. Yeah. And then when you sort of, I've done my sort of fitness journey very enclosed in my own space, sort of doing it at home and without anyone really knowing about it. So going into that atmosphere is scary. Yeah,
it's kind of intimidating, but I can imagine it's quite good to get that community. The same with sort of alcohol-free people as well.
I feel like a lot of people in fitness are also alcohol-free too, so there's that sort of like crossover there, which is great.
Yeah, totally. Lucy, we've also some really, probably the biggest news for you this week or last week. It was your 1-year sober anniversary. Congratulations.
Yeah. Thank you very much.
Yeah, how did that feel?
Do you know what? I was like, the whole year, I was like, oh my God, it's coming up to a year. This is crazy. And then sort of on the day, I was like, it just felt really normal. It didn't feel like something. I had a bit of a party. Well, when I say party, me and my friends played a socially distanced game of rounders. It just felt like, well, it was my birthday too. So it just felt good. It felt great.
Yeah, I know. It was sort of like a double whammy. You had your birthday and your sober birthday. I don't know. For me, it's almost better. My sober birthday is almost better. It feels more fulfilling or something. You just sort of pleased with yourself from getting to another milestone.
Birthdays should kind of be like, it's like everybody has been born and that wasn't very difficult. So like actually celebrating something that took a bit of effort is definitely more meaningful.
Yeah, totally. It's extra special. So Lucy, can I ask you, so if we go back to, for example, before you quit drinking, what kind of partier were you, or what kind of drinker were you back in the day?
So I am the last one up and the one that just doesn't let anyone go to sleep, or I force shots on people. If there was a sober person, I'd be like, oh, no. You can't go out with them.
No, of course.
I was a blackout drinker, an angry drinker. Is that I was just a complete, like, you just didn't know who I was going to be.
Yeah.
Sure. And I wouldn't say that I wasn't like this path of destruction, but I was the type of person that just didn't really know when to stop.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Kind of all or nothing, maybe.
Yeah. I mean, that's what I've discovered through sobriety, is that my issues in general are with moderation and not being able to put a cap on things like exercise. But I'd rather be working really, really hard on my body and my brain and be using that moderation, unlimited moderation, for something good.
Yeah, I think quite a lot of people find that. I certainly find it. The sort of behaviors, conditioned behaviors, you notice that the same behaviors you had when you were, drinking and doing that to excess, you also do it in other areas of your life, whether that's food, sugar, exercise. I think it's definitely something that a lot of people find when they quit drinking. And so for you, it's kind of interesting, actually, because you were still drinking then when you were in the music business. So you had this big break in X Factor. What was it like to be in the whole music industry as somebody who partied quite a lot? And people already have the preconceived ideas about what these kind of parties and events are like. But what's the reality of it?
I think the reality of it is actually quite similar to what people think. Like, one factor. So before I was I had my break on the X Factor, where my song was about getting absolutely wasted, by the way, which is very ironic.
It's really ironic, yeah.
Before that, I mean, I could go into so much about that, because it's why the British public ran with it, is because that's our culture. Drinking is our culture.
Do tell us about that song as well. Yeah, I really love that song, by the way. It's just so ironic that you go ahead and tell us.
Oh, I was just going to say, sometimes I think about putting it into a minor key and playing it really slowly and sadly. And then it would be like, oh, this person's got real issues. In the song, I'm literally saying, wish I could stop, and I'm not joking, drinking too much and socially smoking, because all the stuff that's in that.
Yeah.
Sitting in a cupboard with my weird best friend, that's a genuine thing. We were
yeah, I can relate.
Yeah, I've broken bone stroke.
Yeah, me too. What did you break?
My ankle.
Me too. Broke my ankle in Korea in the middle of the mountains.
Oh my God, I was in America. And it was
really?
What did you do?
I walked home on mine.
Oh, I didn't walk anywhere, but it's I
couldn't feel it.
The music industry there is the currency. So before I went on the X Factor, the currency of music is money and alcohol. So before you make money through music, the currency is unlimited beers, and some food or whatever. Mainly beers. Yeah. If you play in pub, you manage to have a career in music. Alcohol doesn't cost anything. It never has. In my career, alcohol's just been free.
Right, okay. It almost seems like it has the potential to go one of either ways, either totally downhill, and you can see that a lot of people, successful people in that industry, they just completely, if they've got any sort of predisposition for incinerating the candle at both ends, they just go downhill. Or if they, like yourself, have that level of success and turn it around, it just gives you so much of an upper edge.
I've never been as productive and creative as I have, and that's shared throughout all the so creative people that I know.
Yeah.
And the thing about music and the music industry, especially if you're a touring artist, is that you spend so my last tour, I spent 13 months on the road, and then you come home.
Yeah.
And you have this silence for a bit where you work inwardly, you write songs and things like that. And so you have this massive sort of party time. Yeah. And when that's the other thing about drinking in British culture, is when you're happy, you're conditioned to have a drink. Somebody dies, you're conditioned to have a drink. You wet the baby's head. You give people champagne for a good thing. So a good show for me meant getting absolutely obliterated.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And it's just, it's weird. It was weird doing a tour, because I did a tour sober. I did 36 dates.
How was that?
It was great. And I've never been so vocally on point, and I didn't make any mistakes. I never ever drank before a show.
Okay.
I've never done that, but I've drunk afterwards, and the hangovers make my shows terrible.
Yeah.
But it was great. I put non-alcoholic beer on my rider. That's when I started working out.
Yeah.
And I've just surrounded, my tour manager is sober, and my keys player, who is a great guy, just decided he was going to be sober with me.
Amazing.
So, yeah.
Yeah. No, I'm sure there's such a difference in touring whenever you've got hangover and performing with hangovers and just waking up fresh every day. I can't imagine. And so tell us a wee bit about this new album that you've got coming out.
Well, the album is called Choices, because I've had quite a bit of an intense year with sort of, I hate the word transformation, but transformed my life, which has sort of expressed itself in a very physical way, but also mentally, and my life circumstances, and going through a divorce. And the album sort of has put all those things together. Sobriety, there's a song called Sober on there. It's a song called Run, which is about running, but it's more interesting than just being about running.
Yeah.
And there's like a lot of references to being sober in this record. So it's very personal.
Yeah, definitely looking forward to hearing that. And so it's going to be released in, approximately October time. Oh, can you hear me?
Yes, October, November, I'm back.
Yeah.
For people watching, I have a terrible internet connection. But yes, October time, yeah.
Okay. And so Lucy, I just wanted to ask you there as well. So if going back to whenever you did quit, was there a defining moment or something that really made you think, well, I can't continue like this? Or was it just sort of building up over time?
Well, as I say, I've been on tour for like 13 months. And I realised that for 6 months, I don't think there had been a day where I hadn't had a drink.
Yeah.
And there was a lot going on in my life, like personally. And I went out on a night out, in a festival, which is just in the field behind my house. And I remember getting back from a show in Butte. So I travelled like 9 hours to get back and go out. And I drank like half a litre of Jameson's with my mates to like kick off the night.
Yeah.
And that night, there's so much drama, and like couldn't remember anything. I felt awful. I felt anxious. My life was terrible. And I woke up in the morning and I was just like, I'm not doing this again.
Yeah.
And I didn't.
Wow. And did you know that it was going to be for the rest of your life kind of thing? Or was it just, right, I'm going to not do this for the next weekend or the next few days?
I can't really remember how I thought it was going to go. But after the first month and a half, I had like physical, like I had super emotional breakthroughs and all kinds of weirdness in that first month.
Yeah.
But my skin hurt. Like,
did it?
Yeah, like I felt so weird because I've been drinking since I was like 12.
Yeah.
And I'm not the kind of person that drinks when they wake up, or like, I had been drinking consecutively on that tour, but that wasn't a normal thing for me. And it looks like my body was in some way physically missing alcohol.
Yeah.
Which shocked me no end. And I'm not like worried to talk about that fact.
Yeah.
Because I think a lot of people might experience that if they stop too.
Yeah.
But at the time, no, I didn't know this would be a forever thing. But my life has changed so much that I couldn't imagine not being sober now.
Yeah, totally. I mean, even regarding what you said there about the changes that you made or noticed in the first month, a lot of people think because they're not waking up drinking in the morning that, this isn't really an issue, but they do realize when you stop all of these, physical things, even it takes your hormones, it affects your hormones and takes a while to balance out. There's so much sugar in alcohol as well. Like my blood sugar level was up the left. I mean, so many people have this issue where they're, like gorging on various sweet treats for quite a few months. I think you and I talked about that before. We both shared a love of cheese. Was it carrot cake at the beginning?
Cake.
Yes, cake is a big one. Cake and ice cream. Oh my goodness. Was there anything else that you sort of one of your sort of go-to sweet thing? You've got quite a sweet tooth, don't you?
I have a big sweet tooth, yeah. And it wasn't just it was like this crazy bam, like, oh my god, you need to eat some sugar now. And I would go and sit in a cafe or just like walk into Pizza Express and be like, can I have the dessert menu, please? And just order cake and stuff. But it's funny because when I wasn't even doing the fitness stuff, I lost a stone in like the first 3 months of sobriety because of the calories that I've been drinking, even though I was literally eating cake twice a day.
Yeah, you still lose weight. Yeah, I sort of experienced the same thing. So talk to us a little bit about the sort of body transformation. So you've lost quite a bit of weight, isn't that right?
Yeah, from my heaviest, I've lost 3.5 stone.
It's amazing. Yeah, I saw some before and after pictures. I think you were in a couple of newspapers and magazines as well. Yeah. So did that happen sort of straight away? You mentioned you lost a bit of weight straight away. When did you start to get into the kind of fitness kind of sort of thing?
I got into that around 6 months. So it was January because I went to Vegas with my friends, which is quite a bit of a test of sobriety, is going to Vegas. And the time difference is all mad. So I woke up really early in the morning after we'd been out all night. And to be fair, I had a great time in the club. And I woke up and everyone was asleep. And I got this like doom. I call it sleepover doom because I used to get it when I was a kid. You know, when you're like, I need to get out of this house. It's not my house. And for some reason, my body was just like, you need to run.
Right.
And so I just ran. And I think I ran 2.4K and said, I am never doing that again. That was disgusting.
Oh, really? In Las Vegas?
In Vegas. And then I just carried on going every day. And now I run I run about 4 times a week.
Okay. What kind of running? Are you into road running, trail running?
I do a bit of both, but I'm training for Brighton Marathon. So I've been trying to do a half marathon distance every week, which is 22 kilometers. So probably run about 40K a week.
All right. Very good. I know you mentioned that actually a lot of sober people, or people get sober, they get into running. Why do you think that is?
I think it's the same as, I think a lot of people take on new things when they stop drinking. And I think it's more scientific than people tend to associate it with. I think that we miss our hits of like dopamine and our happy hormones and stuff. So if we take on something that releases those endorphins and we get that high that we miss, I suppose.
Yeah, totally. I definitely feel that way. That's why I kind of get into all this adventure stuff. It just gives you the same kind of high really at the end of the day. And I know you're kind of into some adventure yourself as well, aren't you?
I love anything outdoors, to be honest. Me and my friends are looking for something to do this weekend that is just outdoors.
Yeah, what have you got in mind?
Well, we were going to try and do the Ninja Warrior thing. It's actually indoors, the inflatable Ninja Warrior in Manchester, but Manchester's just been locked down, so we're not.
Oh, yeah, I read about that, actually. So what's the deal? What can you not do?
Going indoors, mixed households indoors.
Okay, yeah, I read about that. Bummer. So going back to the fitness, so you started with the running and then you sort of got into weights and things like that. Did you have a personal trainer? Did you just sort of work out on yourself by yourself?
About 3 years ago, I went and did Olympic weightlifting near my house when I lived back near Manchester. And so I knew a bit of like the fundamentals from there. But I trained with a good friend of mine called Ryan, who's sober as well. And I started training with him when I was drinking, so years ago. And it's funny because that actually documented how I was training then and how I'm training now. And the fact that I barely ever showed up to train because I was hungover. And so yeah, I but really it's just me running, doing bits at home. I've got a little gym in my courtyard, so yeah.
Right. Okay. And so tell us about this app, Fully Rewired. I'm not sure you haven't launched it properly yet, have you? Sort of sneak previews, which I'm noticing on Instagram. What's it all about?
So we're just trying to sort of build a profile right now. It's an app that is for people that want to better about you that you just don't like, or that you don't like yourself, because that's how I felt. I didn't like myself one bit. It's kind of a pathway to choosing the life that you want and re-establishing your connection with the stuff that you put into your body, whether that's food or alcohol or sugary things, and trying to get into exercise, but not in the way that makes you miserable.
Yeah, I was going to say, like, a lot of people struggle with getting from 0 to 1. You sort of find when you're on a bit of a roll and you've got a bit of momentum, it's not so bad. But what advice would you give to people that want to make some changes to their lifestyle and their diet, but they're struggling to make that first, the first step because it's maybe intimidating, because they maybe don't know what to do?
With the not knowing what to do stuff, I mean, that is a big thing for me. Like, even still, I have anxiety of going into gyms. Even though I look like somebody that would know what to do in a gym, those machines scare the hell out of me, so I don't know what I'm doing. So there's so many places on YouTube to learn home exercises, just bodyweight exercises to sort of get you off the ground. And then my other piece of advice is, people ask me every day where I get my motivation from for training. And the honest answer is, some days I have zero motivation. And it became about discipline rather than motivation. Yeah. Like days when I just don't want to go outside, there's no motivation, but I have to use the discipline to say, but you are. And it's the same. I actually feel that sobriety taught me that, and not fitness. It's like, I could drink today, but I'm not going to. So like, anybody that is sober, even if it's 3 days sober or 3 years inside you to begin that journey.
Yeah, I definitely can see how, sobriety would begin to sort of change those pathways and help you then make better decisions in other areas of your life. Yeah, I experience that sometimes too. You just couldn't be arsed, and you just have to do it and not think about it, basically. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And just think, this is my path to me being better. Yeah. And if I don't do it, I'm not really going to move in the direction that I want to.
Yeah, exactly. And often those times that you really don't feel like doing it and you do it, that's when you feel even better.
Absolutely. Because the days when you don't want to do it are the days when you're naturally feeling low.
Yeah.
You've run out of all those good juices. So exercising brings those right back for you.
Exactly. It's almost like a kind of medicine for me. Like the past couple of days, I was feeling a wee bit negative, mainly kind of, hormone type of things. And I know that if I go out on this run, it's going to do me good. And I just usually just try and force myself to do it. And I always feel better. It's almost like it needs to be a priority. Not everybody has that same experience, but yeah, I'm sure you've experienced something like that from what you're saying.
If someone had told me that this would be what I do a year ago, I would have laughed in their face so hard, because this was just not me. Yeah. And it never was going to be me. And then one day it just was. So
I know, it's funny that. And what about your friends then? So this big change, how did they react whenever you did turn your life around?
Well, I think with a lot of sober people, there are some friends that you go out with and you think, we have nothing in common. Oh my God.
I know.
And luckily for me, there's only been a few of those, because honestly, with my friend group, I think I was the instigator.
Yeah.
So there weren't too many of those, but my friends are the ones who are spurring me on. They say you're a much better listener, you do more fun things, and you're a better friend, and you're sort of more present in the moment. And a lot of my friends are now coming to me and saying, you know, what can I do, or asking questions about alcohol. So it's great.
Yeah, you sort of find that, don't you, that it rubs off even without, you know, preaching or anything. People watch and they notice your progress, and it rubs off.
My mum's sober now.
Is she?
Yeah, my mum's, I think, 6 weeks behind me. So.
Oh, really? Oh, that's amazing.
It is, and I really love that, and I was actually really happy that the sort of national media covered my sobriety a few times. I think I thought that was really positive, because there's not really that much about sober people, and the only time they talk about sober people is when someone falls off the wagon.
Yeah.
And or is in rehab. So I like that, and I like the questions that generated. It was great.
Yeah, what kind of questions? What do you mean?
Just like so many people message and say, so, you know, that sort of like mousy edging in question. How did you know that you wanted to stop drinking?
Yes.
And those questions, I'll try and answer as many of those as possible. But I think by asking the question, you're kind of given a tell about yourself, because I was that person. I messaged Lucy Gibson, who's part of Sober Girl Society, who I've known for a few years, and I saw her life improving and all that sort of thing. And when I was still drinking, I shot her a couple of messages. Oh, what's all this about? And it's important that you answer those questions, I think. Yeah,
definitely.
I don't know. I feel like you sort of pass along this goodness that comes from being sober.
Yeah. And it seems like, you know, maybe the media and society is starting to change its mindset about, or its view of sobriety. Like you said before, they maybe only would have sort of published negative articles, but now, you know, it's quite a growing community anyway in the UK. So it's hopefully that'll continue to grow, and doesn't just have to be people who are completely at the end of their tether, you know, grey area drinkers.
Yeah, it's a movement. It's 100% a different angle than any other angle that sobriety has been presented in before, I think.
Yeah, totally. And so with talking about friends, a lot of people, when they quit, they sort of find themselves in a situation where they'll quit, but they maybe don't change anything else in their life. For example, they'll keep the same friends. They'll maybe not get any new hobbies. How important do you think it is to connect with other alcohol-free people for a starter? And number two, push yourself out of your comfort zone and try new things?
I think for the latter, that's important for sober people, drinking people, anything people. I mean, it's one of the fundamental parts of life, is just challenging yourself and incorporating that into your work ethic and who you are. And especially for sober people, because you do lose a chunk of what you know. So it's good to replace that with something else. I actually do a bit of bird watching nowadays.
Do you?
Yeah.
I was going to ask you what other hobbies you have. Is it called twitching, or is twitching? What's twitching? What is that?
I do think that is a word that people call bird watchers.
Twitching is a kind of, it's like a sub genre of bird watching. Tell me about how your bird watching goes. I'm intrigued.
Well, like I said to you before, I live in the country, and there are these group of huge hawk, eagle-looking birds flying around, and I was like, these are amazing. What are these?
Yeah.
I learned that they're red kites, and they were nearly wiped off the face of the planet until this farmer in Wales started feeding them, and they started flying and multiplying. And I was like, wow, this is amazing. And I have swallows that nest in my courtyard roof. They fly to Africa every year, and they come back to this same roof every year. I just found it really interesting. So I started learning. I got some binoculars, got a book, and I sit in the field and watch the birds.
Do you know, it is really interesting. And I don't know why bird watching got such a bad rap in the first place. I think you should be the new face of this, because a lot of people since the quarantine, I think, have been really getting into it, sitting in their houses looking out the back garden. Is that how you got into it?
Yeah, kind of. I've got a lot of hobbies like that. Like I do a lot of fishing. I ride a motorbike. I do my working out. Like I think I've also just got a book about trees, British trees, for my birthday. So I like to just, if someone's talking about something, I like to be like, oh, I know a little bit about that.
Exactly. It's just about expanding your mind, isn't it? And being open to learning new things. There's nothing really off the cards. Speaking about bird watching, I found this amazing thing on the internet where you can actually track cuckoo. I think there were cuckoos from the UK to Africa. I was like checking them out every day. And they've got names. They're called like Alan and Rob and stuff like this. And you can tell when one of them's like detoured off to Tenerife, and it's just absolutely. I'll send you the link later.
Please do, because I'm into that sort of thing. I was going to say, people get really worried about social situations like without alcohol, because that's the thing.
Yeah.
Learning those new things and having a little bit more to talk about to fill the gaps if you do think there's going to be gaps, like reading books or learn a little bit about some stuff is good for if there is a break. You can be like, oh yeah, I watched Alan fly to Africa.
Exactly. They're really good conversation starters. Yeah, totally. And speaking of sort of, filling in the gaps and conversation, a lot of people, when they quit drinking, they sort of, they think, oh, it's going to be so awkward. Like one thing I find with my trips, a lot of people are, before they come on the trip, they're a bit apprehensive. They're like, oh, usually where alcohol would work as a social lubricant, people would think, oh, is this going to be really awkward? What am I going to say? I mean, the reality is when they come on the trip, it's not like that at all. But did you find that when you quit, did it sort of feel awkward? Did you embrace it?
I don't think it felt awkward for me.
Yeah.
I feel like I threw myself into work so much that I didn't really have that. But that was something that scared me. And I went to a birthday party and I had like full Red Bulls in my back pockets. And I was on the dance floor, just like absolutely loving it. Like the last one on the dance floor. But remembered everything. I gave everyone a lift home. I guess I said this analogy on Instagram yesterday. And it was about this. It's like if you if every day when you have your dinner, you fill your dinner with ketchup to make it taste better every night.
Yeah.
It's kind of the same thing with drinking. Like, should you just learn to make better meals instead of putting all the ketchup on? So like with drinking, should you just put yourself in situations where you find it easier to talk or where you feel more comfortable or where you're surrounded by the right people, like instead of just introducing alcohol to it? So that's my ketchup analogy anyway.
Yeah, I like that ketchup analogy. Just keep it simple, basically. So Lucy, I want to go on to talk about sobriety in the LGBTQ plus community. But first of all, I wanted to announce we have some special news about our collaboration next year. So just wanted to tell everybody that Lucy is going to be coming along on one of our We Love Lucid alcohol-free adventure holidays. We still haven't decided which one yet, but really, really looking forward to having you. And I think it'll be right up your street.
I can't wait. It's going to be awesome.
Yeah, I know, totally. I wish it was this year, just, with the whole COVID thing going on. But yeah, so I had a couple of questions about sobriety and the LGBTQ plus community. I wanted to know, do you think that there are any sobriety or alcohol related issues that are specific to that community that you might not find in the heterosexual community?
I would say that a lot of the LGBTQ culture, like the majority, is based on places, for me anyway, my experience of it is like going out to gay clubs and gay bars, because that's where you're included. And Pride is a lot about party culture and, drinking a lot or whatever else it is you might do. And I suppose it may be a slightly more rogue to be a sober gay person than it is to be a sober heterosexual person.
Yeah.
Because of the way that the interaction happens. But I guess it's not the same for everybody, because, I'm a quite extroverted person who's always been out in the clubs, and that's, Canal Street was like the birthplace of my gayness. Like,
yeah.
I just found myself there all the time. And that's the kind of place where, free shot if you're coming in. So it really depends where you sort of, and that there are those issues that are exclusive to the LGBT community.
Do you think there could be maybe more potential, for example, for people in the LGBT community for various different reasons, to turn to alcohol, maybe as teenagers, for example, if you're maybe not getting acceptance, depends what kind of family, what do you think?
Trauma, of course, can kick off a bad habit or relationship with alcohol. And a lot of gay people experience trauma, whether that's, being excommunicated or having their identity challenged. And often, for me, sort of being gay was so confusing when I was younger that it pointed myself inward, and I lacked a lot of confidence because I didn't really know what I was. And with any identity queries, you can drink and kind of become somebody else. So there is also that aspect too. And I did just think gay people often find themselves in gay bars and gay clubs because that's where they feel safe.
Yeah.
And and that's why I go to gay bars, because I feel like I'm safe in there. And there aren't that many places to feel safe as a gay person that aren't gay bars. So I guess, there's not many establishments that don't revolve around alcohol for gay people to come together and gay people to meet.
Yeah. I know that there's a few different things going on nowadays, which is really inspiring. The Queers Without Beers have got some events. Is there any kind of events or things that you would like to see happening in the LGBT community, in the sober space?
Oh, I'd love a sober pride. I don't know if there's sober pride, but I'd love for the LGBT community to celebrate the sober people that are in their communities.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah, but I mean, it's things like this, when the world resumes, there are gay people or people of all different walks of life posting lots of sober events. So it's very exciting.
Yeah, definitely. It's promising. Okay, Lucy, I'm going to have a quick look here and see the comments, if there's any questions. Victoria's asking, when is Rewired coming out, your app?
Hopefully a few weeks from now. We're just working on the behind the scenes of the app and trying to get stuff organized. So
okay, good. Let's see. Yeah, I think lots of people just saying well done on your 1 year anniversary.
Oh, somebody said, yeah, and Twitcher is right. I love my bird watching too.
Oh, did they?
Twitcher.
I'm starting thinking about getting into this now as well.
I think you should. I think it's cool.
Especially here in Spain, and it's a whole different kind of birds as well. Right, we're actually just about to run out of time. Lucy, thank you so much for joining us. Tell everybody where they could find information about you, tickets to your shows coming up, and when they can get your album, or where they can get your album.
You can find all of my stuff on lucyspraggan.com. My Instagram is @lspraggan, and that's the same for my Twitter and Facebook. So hopefully I'll see you there.
Okay, great. And for We Love Lucid, you could find us on We Love Lucid on Instagram and welovelucid.com. All right, I think that is us almost up. Lucy, it's been great chatting to you.
Thank you very much for having me. I hope you have a lovely evening.
Okay.